Valtiel just cranking it. Straight cranking it. What system did God Hand come out on? That would be PS2. And I still haven't streamed it yet. I really should. Bayo 3 can go in the Concord hole. I kind of agree. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see if I remember where we were. Welcome to Hilltop Center. It's the business center. One of those buildings that's got a bunch of businesses in it. Lanica's Dance Studio. I think... Storefront posables. Right. Okay. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but, So, Silent Hill 3 is doing something that I find kinda, like, super interesting. I guess we could put that on our pedestal, why not? No, you don't. No, I kind of don't. One interesting thing that I think Silent Hill 3 is doing is to kind of copy the formula of Silent Hill 1 again. So the first location, like the first thing that happens in the game is the main character has a dream in which they die and then wake up in a diner/restaurant. One of the first locations you go to in the game is the school, which is replaced with the mall in this game. And I think that's just because Heather's a little bit older than Cheryl was, or Alessa was. So she's got more of an association to hanging out in the mall than being in school, you know? We meet a weird religious fanatic, Dahlia in Silent Hill 1, and Claudia in Silent Hill 3. Remember when people voluntarily hung out in malls? I did, all the time. A whole bunch. I used to really like hanging out in the mall. Bun, what's a mall? Don't you do this to me. Don't you do this. Those places where you could get pretzels. Listen, there are places where you can hang out and play Dance Dance Revolution. Wow, when they said silencer, they meant like silenced. Space is too narrow to be of any use. We meet a shitty dude that supposedly has all the answers but doesn't want to share them. Yeah, Kaufman in Silent Hill 1. Father Vincent in Silent Hill 3. Aww. One of my core memories from my childhood was being in a wall and walking past some goobers absolutely going nuts on a DDR machine. See, that was me. I did the tournament scene. I won about $500 doing it, too. I was pretty okay at it. Not like, you know, the best. Some of the harder stuff I wouldn't do. But, I mostly did, like, heavy doubles. Which is like 1 person, 2 pads. Is his title in the cult really Father Vincent? Yes. Yes, it is. I'm biting you for attention? You've been chomped. Hi, Alicia. How are you? Father is in like priest? Correct. Although, I mean, there are themes in this game of, you know, pregnancy and maternity, so perhaps Father Vincent is... Call Planned Parenthood because they didn't fucking call me today? Oh no. If we get that figured out. It looks like there was a picture here before. Only the caption's still around. Flame purifies all. Flame, huh? Well, I don't know what kind of picture used to be here. But I'm not too fond of fire. It's scary somehow. I feel like that line's a little bit on the nose. This is a good angle. There's something missing from games that don't have set camera angles. And it's the ability for a camera movement to invoke anxiety in the player. It's something really small. But it feels really important in these games, you know? Yes! Oh yeah, while you were hanging out in the mall, Heather studied the blade! I don't know if that's how you use that, but that's alright. Her EI jutsu could use a little work. Remember this about Until Dawn, where the camera angle in some places felt like you were lurking in the bushes watching the characters? Yeah! Stuff like that's really good. One arm, how you doing? Who hasn't studied the blade a little bit? You gotta. What is this door? What is this door? How is this door? Yeah. The leggy chodes are here. But let's call them something else. Let's come up with a different name for them. Please. Also allows the game to tell a more direct story. If you let the player choose the angle, then try to wrestle it away from them to show them something, it feels less natural than the game just setting its angles. Players like being goobers. It's hard when the game is just is taking things seriously and you're just not looking at what you're supposed to be. Yeah, it's it creates an over-reliance on like sound effects. In order to grab people's attention, I think. It's the thing that I don't super love. And when it doesn't work, it's way worse because it does the like musical jump scare sting. If you're not looking at the thing that's scary, you just hear the noise and you're like, what? What? And it's mostly just confusing. Rather than, you know, tense or scary or exciting. Jacking it. The phone doesn't work. What could be wrong with it? You have the jack, but where is the Jill? Ah, there we go. Okay, never mind. We can call them leggy scrotes. I don't like any of these other... All of these names are actually worse. These are much, much worse. There should be a Silent Hill mod where instead of radio static, it's faint in the air tonight. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. I've been waiting for this moment. No. Fixed camera angles, the shot becomes important in a way that it's like a movie. Yeah. It's able to create a feeling in the player in a way that's kind of missing in games where you can control the camera. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that needs to be compensated for in other ways. Like I said, it creates oftentimes an over-reliance on things like using sound effects to attract the player's attention, when the way you probably want to do it is to design the environments in a way that certain things are eye-catching that you want players to look at. Yellow paint. Yellow paint is one of those, sure. Yeah. Because, like, in a Silent Hill game, how do you know when you're approaching a door if you can go through it or not? And, like, sometimes you're in a small environment like this where you just try them all. and see which ones work. But if you're like outdoors and they need to bring your attention to like a building you can go into, you change the camera angle so that it points right at the door, and then the player's like, oh, why did the camera angle change to look at that door? You know? Gears of War kind of got around this. The Y button. Something would happen and it would do a QTE. I could see that. Kind of like the way that Resident Evil 4 used them. Counterexample I would give would be Portal, where I think a fixed camera angle wouldn't work. Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's got to be a specific type of game. Hi, Matt. How's it going? Like, I don't think even, like, Dead Space would work with set camera angles. Now the game is good. Now the stream is good. Yay! The drawer's open just a smidge. Now, where do you think Heather's from? Midwest? East Coast? Something like that? Like that kind of area? Like north? Like east of like Iowa? North of like Tennessee? Kind of that sort of area? Smidge is regional? Oh, for sure, yeah. Not Michigan, though. Maybe not. Yeah. North Smidgeton. I hope. Must be rusted or something. I can't pull it out any further. Here I am living up in Seattle. People who grew up in Seattle saying smidge. Interesting. I think there's probably some scattered regions for this sort of thing, but I do think smidge is regional. Scotch too. Don't know about smidgen. I don't either. Is way longer than 2 feet unless Heather's like 4'10". I mean, she's what, 17? If we're just measuring the blade, then like, yeah, I don't know. That seems about right, I guess. There was something I had in mind. I can't remember what it is now. Nope. Train of thought's gone. Time to use the screwdriver to open this door. Drawer. I think. Probably. Yes. Just use the katana to slice it open. Just Zandatsu the desk. Rules of nature! When you have tiny wounds, and then the wounds heal, and then they itch. Why does the body do that? It seems counterproductive. Ah, I'm sorry. A lot of things that happen in biology aren't for a reason. Like, there's a lot of evolutionary biologists that are like, oh, we think it's evolutionary advantageous because of this thing or this thing, especially those fucking Evo psych people. But most of the time, that's just bullshit. Sometimes things happen because they just, you know, because people with them didn't die out. There wasn't a reason for it. Yeah, we are so deep in technical debt when it comes to like the human body's spaghetti code. You have no idea. Nature coding like Yandere Dev. That's pretty mean to nature, but okay. Nature is weird and complicated and sometimes, I would say even often, does things that don't seem to be good or advantageous or... You know, shit's messy and complicated and yeah. Kamala Harris is live on Twitch. Oh. Why? There's a corner of Evo Psych that's actual science. Unfortunately, they're almost entirely drowned out by the idiots who excuse random BS as invoking the ghost of genetic determinism. Kinda, yeah. Yeah. I think I agree with them. Gotta get them Zoomers out to vote? Oh, well. If it gets people out to vote, then I'm alright with it. But, okay. I guess. Does she have a TTS? What are her point redeems? That old familiar pattern is on a piece of paper stuck to the vending machine. Who the hell put it there? It's not like it's the latest fad or anything, right? Silence, streamer. Chat is spamming redeems. Okay, listen. Should we talk about... Maybe we should do it later. But eventually we should talk about the Halo of the Sun. We need to discuss the cult symbols at some point. I think later on we get a little bit of a document that tells us more about it. But I'll take a look at it. I'll think about it. It's a complicated Stargate. Very. Oh, I see. My lunch has arrived. It's a little late. Okay. All right. I'm gonna be right back. Johnny, please ask that again. Copy paste that and ask that again when I get back, okay? I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. Hello. I'm back. What's for lunch? Why? It's bread. Oh, also turkey and provolone and mayo. But bread is involved. So, what's the symbol Alessa put all over the place in the first game? I was just thinking the save points in this game might be related to that. That's a good instinct. I like where your head's at. So, slightly different. The symbol in Silent Hill 1 is called the Seal of Metatron, or Metratron, or Metraton, depending on the subtitles and the person speaking. I believe it's Metraton when they say it out loud, and then sometimes the subtitles say Metraton. It's a weird one. So, the Seal of Metaton, yeah. And it looks a little bit like this. Here we go. Here's a screenshot from Silent Hill 1. Here is the Seal of Metraton. And it's like a triangle and some wavy lines. Slide some circles.
Holy crap.
Snowy. Thank you for 60 months. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Undertale reference. Oh my god. Metatron was an archangel known as the voice of God because he was a messenger for God. Correct. Also related is the Metatron's cube, which is a collection of all of the natural geometric shapes. This I don't think is entirely related to that. I'm going to be honest. I believe the design for this was based off of, actually, the Secret Seal of Solomon from the Ars Goetia, which looks a little something like this. I'll make this a little bit smaller. Make this a little bit smaller. So here's the Secret Seal of Solomon. Not to be confused with the Seal of Solomon, which is a different thing. But I think this served as kind of an inspiration for the design and the look of it. According to, Goetian demonology, the Secret Seal of Solomon was what Solomon used to imprison, I'm going to get this wrong, 54 demons into a brass lamp and then threw it into the sea. I believe. A lot of the things in Silent Hill are kind of based on references to actual demonology, like for instance the Flauros, or the Olympian spirits that are mentioned in the names of the keys in Nowhere in Silent Hill 1. There's a lot of this. I don't know if I recommend going through and actually looking at and reading stuff like the Lesser Key of Solomon, because it actually just reads like D&D stat blocks for demons. It's just like, here's the demon, here's what they look like, here's how many legions they command, here's their rank in hell, and here's the kind of things they can do for you. If you, Flauros is a greater duke of hell, commands 26 legions, and if you imprison him in a triangle, he will tell you the truth, and yeah. Like, it's weird stuff like that. Fun is summoning demons again. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's where they got inspiration for the Seal of Metatron, or Metraton, because the idea of this seal is that once Alessa spreads it around town, it's going to seal the god, and imprison it. Given its relationship to the Secret Seal of Solomon, inside the lake maybe? Who knows? It's unclear. But yeah, that's Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 3? Little bit of a different symbol we got going on here. We still got a triangle motif, in that there are 3 points on it, but they're circles now. Shuttershade, how you doing? They definitely did research on real life occulty stuff and made their own stuff that looks and feels right. Exactly. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of that we talk about. One of the symbols you might notice on here, I don't know if I can get close enough to it, but in the upper right-hand side, between two of those circles, there is a waning, full, and waxing moon that are like combined into a single symbol there. And that's a pagan symbol for the three phases of femininity. I believe it's daughter, mother, and crone. I think the three circles, there's a lot of like maiden, mother, crone. You're right. Can you give me a can of Flowros? Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes, can I have all of it? Certainly. Why not? Also, is my flashlight out? Did I turn that out somehow? Did I do something that... Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Three circles. There's a lot of important threes in symbology, probably like a past, present, future kind of thing. A lot of the other symbols on here are a little bit nonsense. But we could talk about them later. When we see a little bit of a better looking, maybe higher resolution version. Quamks. Is this the reception area? There are catalogs scattered around. Heather, what you looking at? The rule of three also persists in comedy. Symbol equals funny? Sure. Goggos! And they're guarding this beef jerky. There's a sofa here. It's really beat up. And I can totally tell what kind of texture that thing is. Oh, that sofa feels really coarse, doesn't it? Yeah, super canvasy. Oof. Yeah, a little uncomfortable. Display of paper towel holders. Alright, we have now unlocked that door. Is this supposed to be for sale too? It's just for display. It can't really be used. Here's their backup display tub. Here. See, like... So, this is where those set camera angles are useful from a gameplay perspective. This is why Silent Hill never needed... Blim. This is why Silent Hill never needed to have, like, interact prompts. Like, where you put big button prompts on the interactables. Because, like, you do things like you have the character turn their head to look at the important things, and then you switch your camera angle. That's all you need. It's great. Tub. I'm not going to use the tub just yet. Going to explore just slightly. I don't think there's anywhere else to go. It's almost like Team Silent had competent art direction or something. Laundry girl, how you doing? Green Ridge Mental Health Clinic. Wait a minute. That's not how you spell health. I'm gonna be honest. Kind of love it. I hope this letter finds you in good health. Growing strong and healthy with Minmo. Good art direction, bad spell check. You know what? They had less than 9 months to make this game. They made this game. They published this game in less than a year. I'm not about to come at them for spelling mistakes. Big fan of your videos? Oh my goodness. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That's so nice. Imagine how it would be if they had more time to finish Silent Hill 3. There's a couple of things that I think would be different. One of which is we probably wouldn't go to Brookhaven Hospital. Later in this game, we wind up going to Brookhaven. I think if they had more time, they would probably have made it Alchemilla. It just makes a little more sense. But they already had the assets for Brookhaven from Silent Hill 2, so might as well reuse them, right? 9 months? Oh my god, theming? I know, right? It was thematic, too. My go-to, here's an underrated content creator that needs more eyes. Aww. Heck.
I knew it.
Is blood.
It's being invaded by the other world, by a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life.
Harry? Is that you?
Oh no, not again. Did she do this too?
Okay. This is probably one of the most iconic changes when the other world invades, when the world becomes nightmarish. This is one of the most iconic versions of that, because this is one of the few that you actually see in Silent Hill 1. When the world is changing, it's doing so under the cover of darkness. There's the siren, of course, but the world also becomes darker, and there's a fade out before things kind of wake up into the nightmare. Because Silent Hill 1 is very concerned with nightmares and dreams. So when the nightmare is escaping, it's doing so in the form of sleep and dreams. In Silent Hill 2, the world gradually descends into this kind of, like a state of disrepair. But in Silent Hill 3, It is accompanied by pain and blood. And there's two things that are going on here, both of which are prescient. One of which is, Heather is a 17-year-old girl. This is a little bit about, this is about periods. But yes, this is also about birth. These are labor pains. This is the nightmare emerging from Heather, being birthed from Heather. And it's impactful, it's striking, it's scary. I'm sure that doesn't symbolize anything. Yeah, like that puzzle earlier that we solved using a coat hanger. I'm sure it didn't mean anything. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. Sure, it's kind of fine. Sure, it's probably fine. Twisted the handle, but nothing's coming out. Going from this silent apartment
The
building.
misspellings are intentional. They've been misspelling Harry's name ever since the original. You'd know it if you were true uncircumcision pilled SH fan.
Harry? Oh my goodness. Thank you, Zathil. Valkun, thank you for 22 months. Oh my goodness. Thank you. She kicked that tub really hard. Her foot got hurt real bad. It's like she was also slamming her palm down on that screwdriver. And let me tell you, that fucking hurts. She can give me my message. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'll read it if you post it. Ooh, I love this. This is good. All right. Let's talk about what we got going on here. Let's talk about this stuff that we got, right? Silent Hill 3 has some of my favorite imagery in this whole dang game. This whole darn series. Yeah, there's a tube running from this thing to the tub. Making it, I don't know, slightly intravenous. It's also definitely got a crucifix type posing of whatever the heck that is back there. It looks kind of meaty, but it's animated in a really strange way. We've also got these forceps, these little clamps around here, giving it sort of a medical feel. It is also a little bit uterine. I would say so, sure. And then on top of that, we have these strange anatomical sort of, I don't know, glamour shots? These like magazine quality. Pictures of close-ups of people's faces. Also, bathtub full of blood is probably symbolic. Oh, certainly. Yes. It only makes sense if the nightmare is coming into the real world. If this is some other dimension Heather's being sucked into, she's not birthing anything. Yeah, that is important. Yes. Human body crucified in the shape of a uterus. I'm certain this says something about the objectification of women. Specifically, the objectification of women in a religious sense, which is going to be very important for this game's story. The intersection of religion and birth, like a pregnancy, as a form of oppression is going to be very important to this game. Heather, what you looking at? Ooh, cool. Good? The mummy-like thing in the wheelchair is just a doll. Or is it? Something about it makes me uneasy. Why, I wonder? Why is there a wheelchair in this building? Or a doll, for that matter? Next to some bullets. The Immaculate Conception theme seems so obvious when you put it like that. It's these, like, okay. I really like that people say that the Silent Hill games are really good because they're subtle horror. But the thing is, not that subtle. You know, like, they are, but not that subtle. Red bloody curtains. Bloody sheets. Huh. I'm gonna bring this to a personal experience. But I remember having to help with a load of bloody sheets and towels. My mom is a nurse midwife, and usually works in a clinic, has helped with some home deliveries. One of which was my aunt's. I was probably 7 years old? No, maybe 6. And I was absolutely determined to help out with her labor as much as possible. So, and it worked because she was in such pain that she was mad at everyone, but couldn't get mad at the little 6-year-old who's like, do you need more orange juice? So that was my job. I took it upon myself to get her orange juice or water or hot towels or like that was the work that I took on. And then I got to help cut the umbilical cord. And that was so long ago, but I still remember some vagueness of it. Did you keep it? No, I think we... Did you keep it in a box for 30 years? No? No. I think we planted a tree for it. Like, I think we buried it and planted a tree over it. If I'm not mistaken. You ate it? We did not eat it. There are ways to do that. There are reasons to do that. It is not a thing I did or had any desire to do. That is a thing that some people can do. So yeah, when I see bloody sheets like that, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm thinking pregnancy. That's a thing that I think about. Murder the crocodile child? So, I find it really interesting that these things, slurpers, these guys show up after that little bathtub scene. They crawl around on the floor. They put their mouth on everything. Yeah. They're called slurpers? They are, I believe, called slurpers. Well, when I say called slurpers, the only monster in Silent Hill 1 through 4 that has a name is the red pyramid thing, aka Pyramid Head. Like, there's none of the rest of them are ever given in-game a name, right? There's no loading screen that says, slurpers crawl around on the ground and they're attracted to blood. No, there's nothing like that. There's nothing in the game that'll tell you the names of the monsters. So, like, where the monster names come from is a little bit like, you know, data mined information, some stuff about, like, developer commentary. Like, it's very outside the game. So, yeah, no credits roll, like it's Mario 2, yeah. So, I don't know. Like, take the names of most of the monsters with a big grain of salt. Like, is what I'm saying. I do think these things are supposed to be sort of reminiscent of infants. I've known quite a few babies that crawl around on the ground and put their mouth on fucking everything. They're so gross. So that's what they make me think of, but, you know, you might have a different interpretation. I want to talk really quick about a different interpretation. So the Silent Hill wiki yes? Oh, you're saying yes now, but you're gonna be saying no in a minute. Trust me. You're gonna be saying no in a minute. Okay, now, I need to be clear here. I need to be very clear. This is not currently on the wiki. I got this page from the Wayback Machine. I already know where this is going. I don't think you do. I got this version from the Wayback Machine because this page has been changed and is slightly better now. But it used to say... under symbolism. The slurper could be the manifestation of Heather's image of what God would be like. I don't think that's true. Okay, here we go. Here's the part that I have an issue with. Slurpers are also representative of the bottom feeders and lowlives of the human world. It is reminiscent of a drug addict licking the ground to slurp up any spilled chemicals in desperation, perhaps alluding to the slurper's obnoxious, grating vocalizations. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck? Did Circumcision Guy write this? I don't know. This is unacceptable. I just, like, I know you all know this, but this is not okay. Okay?
Star Wars Eclipse lost its lead writer because said writer couldn't handle my genius on certain circumcision.
Oh my god.
On top of Wookiee slavery and sexual assault with the Force into Star Wars. So say it to David Cage.
This was written by some people I know from work. Lime's nope.
No way. No. So, I gotta point out a couple things. One of which, fuck you. This is, unacceptable. People suffering drug addiction are people who deserve empathy. One. Yeah, that's not cool. That's not good. Yeah. No. Yeah, depicting people as undesirables. I don't know where they got representative of bottom feeders and lowlives at all. Like, I don't know where that information came from. That's just made up. And then all this stuff, like, about drug addiction is just kind of evil. But, like, the reason I brought this up is because, in my opinion, the monsters in the Silent Hill games are very much a Rorschach test. They're telling you much, much more about what's going on in their head than they are about what's happening in the game. You know? When you read stuff like this, they brought this to the work, not the other way around. So, yeah, I needed to point out how fucking unacceptable this is. Fortunately, the wiki has taken that down. That doesn't exist on the wiki for the Slurpers anymore. Thank goodness. And, yeah. Yeah. Except the ones in Shatmem that are really called Rorschachs. Correct yourself, Johnny. They are called Raw Shocks. 2 words. They made it a pun. Slurp juice for the apes. A lot of people don't know. You can give apes 2 slurp juice. Ooh. Oh. I love when that big grate comes down. That's great. That's awesome. Thing written feels like something I would have said years ago in a really bad moment of my PTSD, like straight up putting my own problems into the text of the game. Yeah, which I can understand. Like, there's an element of this that asks itself to be, like, what's the term for this? Exegetic? There's part of this that wants to elicit something that comes from, that the audience is bringing to it. The game wants you to bring a bit of your own interpretation to it. That's not a bad thing. That's not something that I necessarily want to criticize. Because I think it's important to do that. It's important to connect with the work, to bring a bit of yourself to it. That's part of analysis. But All right, are you ready for my favorite part of Silent Hill 3? Y'all ready for my favorite thing in Silent Hill 3? Look at this! Oh my goodness, look at you! Look at you go! This is my favorite monster in Silent Hill. This is it. This is it right here. Whatever the fuck this thing is, this is my favorite. I love it. There's only one of it. Yeah. What is going on with like these spikes in the floor? There's these big tubes hanging down here. Is Big Scrongly? I don't know. This is my favorite one. I know people have asked before what my favorite monster in Silent Hill is, and I said it's the thing on the first floor of the the building in SH3, and this is the thing I was talking about. It's my favorite. Does it ever come after you? No, it just sits there. A book's lying here. Looks like a fairy tale. Alright, well that looks like the thing. People are attacking the thing? Once upon a time there was a monster living at the gates of a village. It was very scary and a very bad monster. It would catch people and crunch them up with its big teeth. The villagers were afraid of the monster, and no one would dare approach the gates. Everyone was stuck inside the village. When the king heard about this, he summoned his knights. The knights eagerly rode out to defeat the monster. Ha! Take that! Their swords slashed and their spears flashed, but the monster wouldn't die. The monster tossed the knights into its mouth one by one, horses and all. What was the king to do? He fretted and fussed and paced the floor, but could think of no solution. Soon after, the village priestess came to the castle. She was a very kind and good person. The king asked her to defeat the monster guarding the gates. The book's torn, the rest is missing. I remember reading this a long time ago. I think I borrowed it from someone. I don't remember how it ended, though. Didn't I read this story through to the end? Ironically, the layout of the floor, as well as the tone of the storybook here, sort of implies the creature might have originally been meant to be a boss encounter, but that too might have been cut for time. Possibly. The other thing is, the storybook here could be harkening back to the fairy tale in Silent Hill 1, in the school. But it is telling us something that's really, really interesting to me, and that's the reason this monster is here is because of Claudia. When Heather says, I read this a long time ago, she's not talking about her own memories, she's talking about Alessa's. When she said, I borrowed it from someone, I assume, and I don't know that for sure, but I would assume that might be Claudia, one of her childhood friends. And it really does seem to depict the thing at the door here, right? I think this is implying that Claudia can give shape to the nightmare. The register and the cash aren't of much use to me right now. Cash is always of use. Why'd you ask the priestess? What's she supposed to do? Can she cast holy or something? Well... I guess we'll see. Alright, if I was gonna be really, really generous, like really generous to that stupid Silent Hill wiki thing, I will say there's like needles and pills and bottles and shit all over this place. I don't think they're related to the Slurpers, though. I think that's something they're bringing to it. Fridgem Raider. For some reason, the only thing in the fridge is liver. Hope it's not rotten. Mmm. The fridge is empty, obviously. All that's left is a red blood stain and one god-awful bloody stench. I can see making a connection, but the narrative attached to it makes it disgusting. For sure. I'm not excusing the places they went with it. Not at all. What do needles and slurpers have in common? Nothing. They're merely both in this area in Silent Hill 3. I hope this isn't Chris's liver. Alright, let's see. Right. We got the liver. So now... Without connecting the user? For sure. Yeah. I hope this isn't Chris's liver. Oh, she's gonna have a field day with that elevator? You know, this is the second elevator we've had to deal with in the nightmare. Like, back in the mall, it was an elevator that led us down into the nightmare in the first place. Oh, there's something here. Find the Holy One. Kill her? Question mark? Because Claudia hopes she delivers God? Oh my god. Seems a bit excessive. I think I know who dropped this note. And his name starts with a V. That's me. Who could have taken this photo? It's really creepy. Yuri Lowenthal? Not in this version. Vinny Vinesauce? The very same. Goodness gracious. So in Silent Hill 3 HD, this character is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, and I feel like he's a poor fit. He does a fine job. It's a very bad fit for this character.
Heather. That's what you're called now, isn't it?
And who are you?
My name's Vincent.
Thanks, Ash.
Oh yeah, 24 whole months. Holy shit, time
I'm on
flies
your
by.
side.
So you say. But how do I know you're not with her?
Her? You mean Claudia? Please don't lump me together with her. She was totally brainwashed by that crazy old hag. Well, I guess crazy old hag is a bit harsh. She is your mother, after all.
My mother? What do you mean?
You don't remember? Ah, so Harry didn't tell you anything. I guess he hid the truth to keep you on his side, eh? That figures. He's a pretty sneaky guy.
Don't talk about my dad like that!
You get him!
I apologize. Please, calm down.
How do you know my father anyway?
I know everything. I know about your past, too.
Then tell me what's going on.
You don't know even that?
That's why I'm asking. If you know everything, then tell me how I can put an end to this.
Not yet. Why not enjoy yourself a bit longer?
Enjoy? I feel like I'm going crazy. Doesn't this place get to you at all?
Oh, it gets to me all right. I find it most fascinating. Wait! I'm not finished talking!
I knew you were on her side.
How do you figure?
There's something wrong with you, too.
Dang. I don't think I'll go into this room. A weird guy is in there. I don't think I'm going back through that door. Okay. Let's talk about that scene real quick. Ooh! I love Vincent. He sucks. It's amazing how unlikable he is, yeah. So, here's a few things that are interesting. So Vincent is taking the place... Let me interrupt myself 1 second. Ash Greytree, thank you so much for 2 years. Welcome back to the Court of Hearts, Your Majesty. I appreciate you. Alright. Now, let's talk about Vincent. So, Vincent is taking the place of Dr. Kaufman from Silent Hill 1, a character who shows up in the beginning, is immediately unlikable, and fucks things up. Clearly related to the cult in some way, but not in a way that you really understand right away. He knows who Claudia is. He knows who Dahlia is. And is not really willing to tell you. I love his little mannerisms. He's got these small movements where he's so cowardly, he's so petulant, wait a minute, I'm not done talking. But he's also, I know everything. He's like, of course you'll want to talk to me. I know what's going on. He loves having information and lording it over people. That's it. That's such a power play for him. That's what he loves. He's like, don't worry, I'll mansplain it. He's the Birdly of Silent Hill. He is kind of a Redditor, yeah. But here's what I find interesting is when Harry meets Dr. Kaufman, Kaufman nearly shoots him. Harry says, what is going on here? And Kaufman goes, I don't have time to get into it, and then leaves. And Harry's like, but wait a second. What? Wait. Whereas we see the opposite going on here. Heather is only too happy to get the fuck out of this room. You know? Whereas Vincent really wants to talk. He really wants to talk all day about all the things he knows. However, he's also aware that if he tells you everything, you won't need to talk to him anymore. As long as he keeps some information from you, or pretends that he does, he's got that over you. That's his leverage. That's his power, right? I love him. I love him. He's terrible. He's the worst. He's 100% about control. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What else did I want to say? Oh, here's the other thing that this game loves to do. One of the reasons that this game was even made is because fans of Silent Hill 1 responded pretty poorly to Silent Hill 2 because it didn't answer any of the questions that people had about Silent Hill 1. People wanted to know more about the cult. They wanted to know more about Alessa or her psychic powers. Like, people wanted to dig into, like, the lore and history of the town itself. And there's a problem with making a game that does that. And that's that it wouldn't be very good. If you answer all the questions from Silent Hill 1, that game really isn't worth thinking about the way that it is. There's an element of that vagueness of these, like, unsolved mysteries that's worth thinking and talking about years and years later. I mean, we're going to look at stuff like there was a hole here, it's gone now, and have different explanations and interpretations and feelings about that forever. And that's so good. The game designers are Vincent? A little bit, honestly. So here's what they did. Is they made Silent Hill 3, a game which revisits a lot of the mysteries of Silent Hill 1, and then gives you vague, contradictory explanations. All of the information that we get in Silent Hill 3 is suspect. I want you to question everything we learn in this game, because the people we're learning it from are untrustworthy. I do not trust Vincent to give us accurate information about anything. I do not trust Claudia. These characters do not have the truth in mind. And so much of the information we get in this game is even more vague, contradictory, and confusing than Silent Hill 1. 1 actually explains a lot of the way things work in Silent Hill 2. I certainly think so, yeah. But, you know. There's a junior high school chemistry book here. When you pour diluted hydrogen peroxide into manganese dioxide, oxygen is produced. Although oxygen will not burn on its own, it will help other things to burn. Good to know! Also, very interesting that this whole area around Vincent is relatively normal. TV looks broken, the Switch doesn't do anything. You know, fans are always right wanting explanations. That's why Metal Gear Solid 4 exists. MGS4, I like that game a lot because it is the opposite of this. It is, okay, we'll go ahead and answer all the questions and tie up every loose end. It really does. And a lot of the time it's satisfying. And, sometimes it's really not. Yes, 100% Johnny. MGS4, I have a question about Big Boss in that game? Interesting. There's nothing useful written on it. Okay. Will do. It's one of the reasons I hate MGS4. It's one of the reasons I don't consider the stuff in MGS4 when talking about the things I like about Metal Gear Solid 2. Ooh. Man, this is so good. Fucking imagery in this game. Like, Silent Hill 4 is the scariest one. In my opinion. But oh my goodness. Glad they never truly explain the horrors of Silent Hill, because good horror is letting that uncertainty eat at you. Yes, but I want to be clear about one thing, is that Silent Hill is not simply leaving the horror itself completely vague. Like, stuff like Homecoming or Downpour, Homecoming less so. Stuff like Downpour or Shattered Memories or, okay. Stuff like Origins or Downpour are less scary than this because they don't have any interest in explaining what the monsters and the nightmare are or are doing. And it's very much to the detriment of it because it doesn't feel like the game particularly cares. It's just saying, oh, town's haunted. And that's the explanation. And that sucks. The tightrope you have to walk is to present enough information that it looks like there's an answer, and then stop just short of explaining it all the way, you know? For instance, one of the better horror games out there, I think, or at least game with horror themes, is Bloodborne. I love Bloodborne so fucking much. And one of the best things that Bloodborne does is give you the bare minimum amount of information to understand what's happening, and then leave some things totally unexplained. What is Formless Odin? What is Pale Blood? Like, it really seems like there's answers to these questions, but they're just beyond reach. They're just things that we're not going to learn. And that's great because it gives us enough information to, let me put it this way. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? So if you're living in complete ignorance, there's so many things you don't know, but you don't know that you don't know those, so you don't care. But the more you learn, the more you realize there are gaps in not only your knowledge, but like human knowledge. And games like Silent Hill and Bloodborne are really, really good at giving you so much information that you're able to realize where it's lacking. And this gives you, here's the important thing, it leaves you with questions. When I beat Bloodborne, I wanted to know what Pale Blood was. I wanted to know who Formless Odin was. At the end of Silent Hill 1, I want to know how the nightmare works. At the end of Downpour, do I want to know why the monsters appeared? The game didn't seem particularly interested in it. I don't know if anybody ever asked that question. Why are there monsters here? Because the main character went to jail one time. Obviously. And like, it's not a question that, like, has a pressing answer? It's a great story by Damon Lindelof. I know the guy. Talking about how he and Greg Grunberg were struggling to beat Super Mario 2 and called a friend for help. Yelled at friend when the device didn't work. When it did and they beat the game, they were disappointed because getting the answer hurt the experience. Yeah. I can understand that for sure. I think Lost is also a really good example of presenting questions through giving us information. Like, Lost answers so many of its big questions. What is the smoke monster? What is the island? Who are the others? Like, all of these have answers that we get during the course of the series, but during the course of learning those, there are bigger questions that we realize we'll never get the answers to. What is Jacob? Jacob and the Man in Black's mother? What was she doing on the island? What is the source? There's all of these overarching questions that are used to answer the smaller questions. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna try running away here. That's what I think I'm gonna do. God, I love this game. Source is an electronics chain in Canada. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. Its purgatory is never going to be a satisfying theory? Yeah. Which is why I'm glad that it's wrong. Okay. I see. This area of the game has such an interesting vibe to it. Because of the wood patterning on the walls. Eraserhead is my most spiritual film. Could you elaborate that on that? No, I will not. Yeah, that's one of the things, is there is so much of David Lynch in the Silent Hill games. It's one of the things that's really important to the acting and the presentation of the characters, is this sort of Lynchian quality of awkwardness. There's an imperfectness to it. An element of spontaneity. These characters don't talk quite right, but that's because they're meant to be people, not actors doing 100 takes of that line, A matchbook. No more cigarettes for me. I quit for good. Heather, you're 17. Okay. This is another really brief thing that I just want to point out here. This is another kind of brief thing that I want to point out, is that I love this incidental dialogue because it gives us information like this that is not communicated through a cutscene. It's not it is a part of Heather's history that we get a glimpse at, that tells us about a rebellious phase that she had. That makes her character deeper and interesting. And it's just because we examined a thing in the environment. And it's totally missing from the later games because they take out all of this text, you know? They take out all this incidental stuff when you examine things. It's just not there anymore. Heather was a smoker until she saw a dare assembly at school. Yeah, she saw that dare lion. That's what happened to me. I saw that dare lion and I was like, I could fix him. Somebody's hungry. This game is so good. It's a direct lift from session 9. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. There is a scene at the end of Silent Hill 1 when Alessa is in a wheelchair. Oh, there's clearly... Okay, there we go. Pixie's art is so good, isn't it? All right, so when Silent Hill 3 is recreating some of the events of Silent Hill 1, we wound up getting a dream sequence at the very beginning, resulting in the character's death. They wake up inside an eatery of some sort. Then Harry goes to the school, Heather goes to the mall, and then at the end of the game, they both wind up in an amusement park. However, the other events that go on during the game, like visiting the church and the hospital, are a little bit more jumbled. They're kind of all over the place. It gives the events, I don't know, to me, a little more of a dreamlike quality. Like we don't wind up meeting Vincent in a hospital, the way that we meet Kaufman. But I think that the little business center here, that this building is analogous to when Harry is running around town visiting stuff like the mall and the antique shop specifically. And part of that is because of this painting. I believe this is a stand-in for the altar in the Green Lion. Flame purifies all. By these remains may a person find the road to paradise. I've seen this picture before. No, wait, I've never seen it. But I do know it somehow. So the character in the middle there looks an awful lot like the final boss of Silent Hill 1 if you're going for the bad ending. Got kind of an incubator vibe to her. Surrounded by fire and what looks like people worshipping. When it says, by these remains may a person find the road to paradise, I really hate to think that Alessa was those remains. And like all great works of art, it has a bucket. I really hate to think. True, actually. I'll stand by that one. I sure do. Hey Phoenix, how you doing? What's in the teacup today? I'm almost finished with this can of Full Throttle. Not sponsored, but they should sponsor me. They really should. What flavor? It's the original, the citrus one. Alright, we've got some matches. Got some meat. We've got some oxidol. Is this everything we need? This might be everything we need. Drinking energy drinks out of a teacup because he's classy like that. Pinky out. Bucket. Mr. Bucket. Buckets of fun. Now, Heather, remember what happened last time you combined chemicals in a bucket, okay? Don't put your face in there. So I think this is meant to be analogous to when the altar burns underneath the heckin' antique shop. That's too many ears. That's got too many ears. Or maybe it's just fire? Sure. The curtains are blue? I like her legs. I don't remember if it does this in the PS2 version, but this is funny. What might this be? The rest of that fairy tale I read earlier? The priestess accepted the king's request and went to the village gates. But when she saw the monster, she tried to convince it with words instead of killing it. Shut up, you! I'm going to eat you up! The monster didn't listen to a word the priestess said. But she kept trying to convince the monster to give up. It's wrong to eat people, you know. What, like ontologically? Prove that. Now hang on a sec. What's your suppositions here? How'd you arrive at this? I don't want to challenge this. The monster grew very angry at this and attacked her, killing her with a single mighty blow. I can't believe this game is getting political. Famous anti-vor game. Silent Hill 3. Out of here. Alright. This game's got politics, it's woke now. Oh no. I gotta say, one of the things I really like about this. Okay, so as this series goes on, they take a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill 3 when it comes to aesthetics, especially in the Otherworld segments, right? Like Silent Hill 3 kind of sets the standard. Like obviously the chains and the grates and the barbed wire and the whatever, right? This is all like Silent Hill 1 inspired. But from this point on, like especially in stuff like Homecoming, they're going to be borrowing this aesthetic for the Otherworld heavily. However, one of the things that I think is missing is weird stuff like this, like all this wood. Like, it's not all just like rusty grates and metal. There has to be a variety of like weird textures and things. Like even on some of the monsters, you can see textures that look like burlap, not just flesh. It's important that there is texture to the world, because it implies like a history. The wood also looks rusty. It's definitely like stained, damaged by fire or water or something. And I love it. So dang good. Interesting camera angle. Also, I know that's important because they put a light on it. Oh, they must have learned that from Half-Life 2. The lamp's shining on some old silver coins I know I've seen before. I got one earlier, so I really shouldn't take any more. I mean, I'm no thief. I might act like one every now and then, though. It's just a bit of shoplifting. It's no big deal. The nightmare's trying to imitate the real world, but it doesn't quite know how? Kind of. You know, in a sense. Sure. Because it's like, it's half-remembered details, and it's pulling from the subconscious in places. Combining different memories into a new, amalgam. Something written on the wall. Thus one's life turns to riches. What was a bag of silver coins is now the number in a book. Yet fate hath no price. Ah, but do people know this? Hmm. About the size of a quarter. I get the feeling it's really old. Just a plain old vending machine. Someone selling canned drinks. Come to think of it, I am kind of thirsty. I'd feel weird drinking anything sold in a place like this, though. Yeah, no kidding. Sure. Life insurance key. Why the hell is the key in the can? That's not the problem I've got with this. It's that they put the coins in the same room as the vending machine, which is convenient for me. But, as far as puzzles go, not usually the way you do it. You usually separate those by a bit of distance. That's fine, though. Let's tag this as L. Burton Life Insurance. A refreshing key. Alright, there's the dance studio. Gallery of Fine Arts. Geological survey. Ah, first floor. Alrighty. I wonder if the coins are harder to get on hard puzzle? Oh, that's a good point. I am playing this on normal. I don't remember if they move them on hard. Yeah, the hard puzzles are a little unfair. So I decided not to. Let's go see our monster again. Hi! Is this the monster from that book? It is, and I don't watch myself. It'll gobble me up in no time. I can't tell where its mouth is, though. You could shoot it, and it bleeds, and that's about all it does. Heather doesn't want to be Vord? Well, more for me then. That's fine. Oh, that's an awful lot of... Oh my gosh, I love this. Are they desks? And the legs are so long that they go underneath the... like, underneath the floor? Oof. As an audio engineer, I'm completely enamored by the sound design of this game. It's so good. These games are so smart about how they use, like, cacophony, music, and silence. And they combine them so well. That's how desks normally work. Legs just keep going through the floor. Well, you learn something new every day. Oh, it's the end of that fairy tale. I've never heard silence that was so loud in a game like these. Absolutely true? Yes. Yes. It's almost a I would almost liken the way that the sound in these games works to like almost a Frank Lloyd Wright aesthetic, like compression and expansion. The way that Wright, when designing houses, would have narrow spaces into larger spaces in order to create a feeling of space from the contrast. These games tend to use noise in order to make the silence louder. It's brilliant. It's so good. Cage on, cage off. Okay, listen. The king and his people shed tears at the death of the kind priestess. God took pity upon them, and granting their wishes, healed the priestess. The priestess opened her eyes, just as she had done every morning of her life. She went once more to the monster's lair. "Fool, you wish to die again? No, this time it's your turn." The priestess had come to defeat the monster once and for all. As the priestess was very, very kind, she felt sad about this task, but it had to be done. "Swords and spears won't work. Arrows and bullets will just bounce off. You can't kill me," the monster laughed. But the priestess used neither sword nor spear. She chanted but a single spell. Tu fui ego eris. Do you know what happened then? The monster let out a huge cry and then died and vanished. Thus the villagers were able to use their gates once more. Everyone lavished their gratitude upon the priestess, and they all lived happily ever after. And then the priestess was like, "Don't you think blondes have more fun?" Roll credits.
Tu fui ego eris. Weird writing. What was that?
Those Slurpers are gone. In my imagination, we were with Bun in the game and run away. We meet a big pretty monster only to turn around. Alright, listen. I think Heather heard the tart, yeah. What was that? Oh. And now it's gone. Tu fui ego eris means something like, as you are, I was, as I am, so you shall also be, right? Sounds like Latin to me. Why don't we try looking it up? No, it's Greek. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. I see. I know the reason this works, then. Basically, no you. No, it's a memento mori. It's the kind of thing you would see on a tombstone. The reason it worked is because the priestess died. What I was, you will be. Which was dead. The Last Drop Cafe. Woo! Oh, that's the one I was just in. Let's go. Thematically appropriate for what Heather is going through? Certainly. The priestess's death and rebirth is appropriately similar to what happened with Alessa and Heather, right? A death and rebirth. Heather is literally an immaculate conception. So you can see where, like, the cult takes a lot of interest in her. As I am, you will be force femme. Alright, that sounds like fun. Heather's gotta get home. Finally. Feels like we've been on our way to Heather's place for like a month. Same door pattern from SH1? Yeah, a very similar one. What do you think this is? This is like a coal chute? He's gonna shit when he hears this. Yeah. Harry, you will not believe the day we've had. Oh, garbage chute. That makes sense. Apartment 102. Oh, here we go. Did I read that wrong? Hmm. $104? $105? $103? Mm-hmm. A second secret 102. Oh, that other one must have been a 106. And I was just reading it wrong. All right. Let's be quiet. We got some cutscenes. We got some plot about to happen. And I have so much to say about it. And I'm going to wait until after the cutscene's done.
Dad, I'm home. Listen, something really crazy's going on. I think we should... Dad? Dad? Did you do this?
You're late.
But why? Why?
Revenge for 17 years ago.
Nothing like some Friday night Silent Hill.
Not for him, our dream would have come true. And then he took you away from us.
I'll get you for this!
There is another reason. To fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you'll understand why.
No, I'll never understand!
You must try to remember me, and your true self as well. You will birth a god, and build an eternal paradise. He's the one who killed your father. I merely gave the order. So, what will you do? I'll be waiting where all begins. In the town of Silent Hill.
Okay. Usagi, thank you so much for 11 months. Welcome back to the Court of Arms, Your Majesty. Whew. A title drop. Alright, let's talk about some things real quick. Where do we start? First of all, I'm so sad Harry's dead. I'm very upset. There's not a great analogy for that, like an analogous scene in Silent Hill 1 for something like that happening. And in fact, in Silent Hill 2, not really something like that as well. Went the way of most horror protags. I don't know about that. He was in a sofa. He was in an easy boy. Or a lazy boy. Ugh. Alright. Let's start with a couple things. One, that scene is almost ruined in the HD collection, which removed the letterboxing of the scene, but didn't move the camera forward. So instead, it just opens up the top and bottom of the frame so that you can see Harry's face. And you're not supposed to be able to see that during that scene. They framed it like this on purpose. One. And two, they changed Heather's line of dialogue so that she says, "I'll get you, you bitch." And I don't like that either. I feel like yeah, no, I don't like that. it takes away some of the impact of the profanity used towards the end of this game, and it's not, it ain't right. Yeah. So, a couple of things that I really like about this part is Claudia is a totally unique character at this point, because we have not before seen a character who is able to, like, control the monsters. Like, when the monsters appear in Silent Hill 1, they attack Harry not because Alessa's commanding them, but because they're monsters. Like, Alessa's not able to control the things that are happening in the nightmare because it's escaping from her head, you know? Dahlia's the one who's attempting to control them. In Silent Hill 2, you definitely don't see anybody who's able to, like, shape or control the things that are happening because they're all subconscious. But there's something that Claudia's doing that allows her to command this monster to kill people for her? Or was this person always a monster? Perhaps it was one of her followers, and they're merely being seen, or they have transformed into a monster. Maybe because that's the way that Heather sees them. Maybe that's the way that Claudia sees them. And I'm going to say that there is... I have very strong opinions about the way that I think Silent Hill works. I have expressed them in previous videos, and I'm going to say that this doesn't have an answer. This is actually, I think, an open question that is up to interpretation. Is this a person that Claudia is commanding who is being turned monstrous by the nightmare? Or is this a monster created by Claudia or Heather that Claudia is able to control? I think either are valid. I think either are. Yeah. Is Claudia's desire for revenge manifesting now that the nightmare is loose again? Maybe something like that. The nightmare being laid over people if they are monstrous enough in the eyes of the source of the nightmare. Heather sees this guy as a monster, so he's a he is a monster, literally. We're going to see another character who Claudia saw as a monster and therefore is a monster. Or it's a monstrous version of a memory of this person. That's also unclear. I think this is a really, really interesting thing. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with this. And I do think that it's an open question. Yeah, this is just entering like the second act, yeah. Isn't Claudia also influencing this nightmare, or is that one of those vague things that's up for debate? So, when Claudia says, there is another reason to fill your heart with hatred, what's going on there is Claudia believes, just like Dahlia did, that the nightmare is what nurtures the embryo of God. Dahlia also says at the end of Silent Hill 1 that he has fed on her nightmare and grown strong. or something similar. I don't remember the exact line. And I believe that Claudia believes the same. And I don't know if that's right. I think that they're a little bit wrong. However, I do think that what Claudia's plan is that by creating this level of sadness, loss, and hatred inside Heather, she's trying to make her more similar to the way that Alessa felt after being, you know, burned and tortured and, you know, by her own mother for years. She's trying to make Heather feel that, to make her more similar to Alessa, so that the memories of Alessa awaken. The more that Heather, the closer that Heather is to Alessa, the more of that past self is awakened, is, I think, what Claudia's plan is. The nightmare in this game is both the work of Heather, Alessa, and Claudia. Yes. Yes. Because the thing that Claudia has that exerts control over the way that the nightmare is, or the manifestation of the nightmare, is that she has a power of faith. Her belief in her own delusions is what grants her control in this sense. That's Claudia's power, is how much she believes this bullshit. Because you kind of have to. If it's the subconscious desires of your mind expressing themselves into the real world, then the more you believe in those, the more power you have over them, you know? The more real you can make them. So there's elements of the nightmare that are obviously the memories of Alessa. There's elements of the nightmare that are Heather's own, like, fears and subconscious. But also Claudia is able to give them form and direction because of how much she believes this. And that's a character, that's like a power that we have never seen a character in Silent Hill have before. And it's fucking cool. Claudia's super interesting. I love her as a character. Alright. I'm gonna fight the missionary now. It is kind of metal as fuck, yeah. I think shotgun would be appropriate here. Look at him run. Look at how fast this guy is. Jeez. My faith is so strong that it has not only given shape to, but given me power over the nightmare shaped by the unborn god in you. Yeah. Dahlia may have manifested a bit of that as well. She was able to craft the Flowros. Okay, quick point. Yeah, the shotgun very quiet. Quick point. I don't know if Dahlia crafted the Flowros. The Flowros is a cult artifact. I don't know if it's something that they had or something that Dahlia made. I don't think that's very clear. That said, I do agree with your overall point because Dahlia was able to use magic to summon the other half of Alessa's soul. So like, and it has been foretold by gyromancy and shit like that. So like, she has magic that works, and that's probably because of the power of her faith. Although the specific example of the flower rose, I don't know if she made that or not. So I just wanted to point that out. Expand on that a little bit. I'm gonna get you. There we go. Kick. I think he's getting back up. He wants some more. Yeah, this is a weird monster who seems to be wearing pants. Oh god, this music is so good.
I don't know what to say.
Then don't say anything. I'm fine, so just get out of here and leave me alone already!
Calm down.
Calm down? How am I supposed to do that? My father is dead! He's murdered! Get out! This is all your fault! If it weren't for you...
I'm sorry.
Then go!
If it'll make you feel better, I will. Is he okay like this?
No, Douglas, I don't think he's gonna make it.
There's no one here to give him a decent burial. I'm sorry, Dad.
What do you do now?
I'm going to Silent Hill.
What's in Silent Hill?
I don't know.
With no handlebars.
Do you think it's safe?
Of course it isn't. I don't know what kind of hell is waiting for me there, but I've got no other choice. I don't care about God or paradise. If that's what she believes, then fine. But she won't get away with what she did. When I find her, I'll kill her myself.
Revenge doesn't solve anything.
Maybe not, but that's what I'm going to do.
How are you gonna get there?
None of your business.
I'll give you a ride.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, but it's too far to walk. Besides, I'm partly responsible for this. I'll bring the car around back. Come by and we'll finish saying goodbye.
You know, you might die too.
That's fine. Nobody's gonna cry over my grave.
I get what Douglas is doing here, because Heather gave a voice to the things that Douglas was already thinking. This is all your fault. He's the one who led Claudia here, right? Who gave her Heather's address, who tracked her down. So he does feel responsible for this. And I'm sure part of him wants revenge too. Why is there a magic circle carved into the floor? I think that's just scraping from when they moved the TV stand. Find that woman and make her pay. I promise I will. I wonder if my dad would be mad at me for thinking that way.
Hell is waiting for me there. Silent Hill is hell confirmed.
Oh my goodness. Heather, wash off some of that blood. So, I want to point something out. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. Just a little one. Just a little one. Let's see. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all some Silent Hill facts that I don't know if you've ever known. Top 10 Silent Hill facts. I'm gonna save here. And I'm gonna try to make the game just a little bit quiet. Thoroughly YouTube pilled, oh for sure. So this section of playing the game today might get as part of the video might get silenced. What I'm gonna say. I'm gonna try not to play any copyrighted info. Or media, but we do need to talk about the music video for This Photograph Is Proof by Taking Back Sunday. This video played on MTV. What? Yeah, okay, I know. We're a little confused. I know. Don't worry. I will explain.
What's up? I'm Adam, and I'm Matt from Taking Back Sunday, and you are about to watch our video mod for a song of ours called This Photograph Is Proof, featuring the characters from Silent Hill 4, and it is scary.
So... This is an official music video made in collaboration with Konami using character models from Silent Hill 4. Okay, all right. I know. It's an official AMV. Right, okay. So I can't play the music because it's gonna get demonetized. Okay, I'm just gonna give you a little bit, just a little taster there. Okay, I legitimately had no idea this even existed. Right. Okay, so this is Silent Hill canon, I guess. So yeah, we got a whole little music video here. Robbie's here. Okay. So we've got Henry from Silent Hill 4. When was this released? 2004? 5? Something like this? I'll post a link to this so y'all can go and watch it and listen to the music if you want. But here's my issue is okay, we're using Heather as the girlfriend that he's longing for or whatever. Right? But he's sitting in the chair that Harry Mason fucking died in. So like I get it. It's just assets. So like so they didn't know or care, but like House Played Paradise, thank you for the follow. But like this ain't good. This ain't right. To me, Silent Hill fan. Oh my god. Okay, now it's one of the nurses from SH4. Okay, but I got a problem that also comes later in this video. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's the scene from when he wakes up, right? Etc., etc. But now he's in the bed. That's Harry's bed. That's the bed that the corpse is sitting in. No! That's too weird. It's too weird. You can't do this. They're like, oh, we need a bedroom for this music video. And I guess they just used the Silent Hill 3 assets. Anyway, this was weird to me. This struck me as weird. So, a bubblehead nurse from SH2? What are you doing here? I can't believe they made a machinima. Okay. So that's weird. Right? Okay. All right. I'm going to post a link to that music video if you want to watch it. There you go. Yeah. So Konami made an official Taking Back Sunday music video that, in my opinion, really disrespects Harry Mason's death. That's a little out of hand, isn't it? I feel like that's a bit much. Anyway. Weird. Just a little weird. So yeah, anyway, me looking at this chair and the bed just reminded me of that music video and how strange I found it. Dad, why did you have to die? You told me you were the strongest man in the world. Liar. Monster is dead now. Douglas is waiting outside. Mm. It's just the regular TV. There's nothing different about it. Aww. I love Heather's room. Stun gun and some batteries? This is fun because if we examine it in our inventory, my worrywart dad gave this to me just in case. Like, I'm so glad there's an explanation for this. That's cute. It's fun. Alright, I want to talk about Heather's choice in art. Is that a cat looking at the moon? What is that? I don't remember exactly when, but I think I got this doll at a garage sale. I still like it, but there's nothing I could do with it right now.
Heather had to pay for the funeral, so it was rented out for the music video. Stress from said video would lead to Henry locking himself up in his room later on.
Oh no. Alright. Here's one thing I want to point out, though. Do you see on the right there? There's a little portrait of a little funny face guy. There's a little guy with a little funny face. And, I want to thank Voidburger for finding out what this is from. Because this is a reference. The one covered up by chat? No, the one next to that. That little third one. Is it Pagliacci the Clown? I hear he's in town tonight. It's not, but that's pretty close. So, it's actually from something that I think is an inspiration for this game. A huge inspiration for the art direction of Silent Hill 3 specifically. But the Silent Hill franchise in general. A lot of people say that this game, or these games, were inspired by Jacob's Ladder. And I think that that's true to an extent. I think Jacob's Ladder was an inspiration. But I don't think it was nearly as big of an inspiration as, and I'm going to get this name wrong because it's Czech, Jan Svankmajer? This is a little face from a video, an animation that he made in 1966 called Punch and Judy. And we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch a little bit of it. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. But we're gonna watch a little bit. Okay. Because I think it's important to talk about. Little Odic messed me up. It is weird stuff. He also made an Alice in Wonderland one. Which is great, because I love that. Demonetized for Punch and Judy footage? Possibly. Possibly? Possibly. Okay, don't get too scared, all right? Here we go. Okay. So, I think... Oh dear. Oh dear indeed. Starting this about 2 minutes in. All right. Okay. That's our little guy. It's our little guy's face. Oh yes. I love that little guinea pig. Is this a Russian show? This is a Czech stop motion animation. This is very strange and uncomfortable, isn't it? It's also a little funny. I find it a little funny. So, couple of things.
Communist animation was objectively incredible stuff.
I think this is wild. Okay, so people talk about, like I said, Jacob's Ladder being a big inspiration for Silent Hill's aesthetic. And I think Silent Hill 3 in particular is actually borrowing way more from this. The stop motion kind of jitteriness to the animations in this, these like aged textures on everything, like this is the kind of vibe that Silent Hill 3 really loves. It's one of the reasons that I pointed out those like weathered textures earlier, is because they're used in a lot of Svankmeyer's work. These aren't new things. These are not clean things. These are aged. They are weathered. They have a history to them. And it makes them feel, to the audience, somewhat creepy. They're weird. They're off-putting. But why is that? There's something that's happening in our brains that makes this creepy. And I don't have an explanation for what it is. Because I don't believe in EvoPsych. Sure, there's something uncanny about it. There might be something unclean about it. Not necessarily, but possibly. But when we see stuff like this, that's old, with the paint chipping, with stuff like that, there's a reaction that happens in our head that makes us feel like this is wrong, that this is uncomfortable. Being forgotten, like these used to be a toy you played with. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, there's an element of nostalgia to it. There's an element of age. There's definitely the way the camera works and the lighting, the film grain. Like the film itself has a texture, but so does everything else in the scene. Like the paint and the fabrics and the backgrounds, like all of this stuff is not just smooth. It's not just the thing it is, but it's the thing it is with so much more texture going on. Everything feels a certain way, and you can tell that with your eyes, you know? You can look at these things and your brain is able to explain what these things would feel like to run your hands over, you know? Just visually. And there's something kind of brilliant about that. The guinea pig is delightful. Absolutely. Yes. Wait, they're cooking the guinea pig? So they wind up having an argument over the ownership of this guinea pig and murdering each other back and forth. That's the plot of this Punch and Judy sketch. I believe this is Mr. Punch, and I believe this is his neighbor, who shows up in a couple of Punch and Judy type sketches. Judy is not appearing in this particular story. Yeah, they're haggling over it like it's a cow or a pig. Yeah. That's the conceit of this weird little story. That also involves Mr. Punch nailing his neighbor into a coffin. Mm-hmm. What's this called? It's called Punch and Judy by Jan Svankmajer from 1966. And I'll go ahead and post a link in chat so you can watch it. Because it's pretty good. It's got a mood to it. It has a heckin' vibe going on. But yeah, one of the things I find most interesting about doing things like playing Silent Hill games is to look at the things that inspired it. To look at stuff like Dean Koontz's Phantoms, to look at, sure, Jacob's Ladder, to look at Kindergarten Cop, sure. And to kind of like learn something new. Ironically, it's little images like this and little references to stuff like the little references to the movies and books and stories that these games were inspired by that give this world its texture. You know, ironically. Delicious, delicious substance. It's 100% valuable to understand that these things don't just have a single point of reference that influence them. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's got the texture of Svankmajer. It's got the the voice delivery of David Lynch. I double checked, but also as someone who had a Czech great grandmother. Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. Thank you then. Like, it's got story elements from Dean Koontz. It's got the town from a Stephen King novel. Like, there's so many bits and pieces that make this work. And I think if you're going to make a Silent Hill game after 4, what you need to do is brush up on all that inspiration. You need to immerse yourself in the things that inspired this in order to figure out where it came from, if you ever want to do this again. And I think that's a huge, huge problem with a lot of the later games, which just look to Silent Hill for inspiration and nothing else. And like, I don't think you should do it that way. Douglas is being super patient. He can wait though. I love Silent Hill and 0 of the things that inspired it. That's got the same mood as I love Silent Hill, but I hate all the cult shit. I'm not interested in all the cult stuff. Love Silent Hill though. Like, same energy. Which, yes, is something that people said. Specifically people who were directing Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I think it was Shattered Memories. I'm gonna be really mad if I'm wrong and it was one of the other ones. No cult, only aesthetic. No cult, only guilt. Only dead wives and guilt. A bunch of the inspirations for the early games are listed in the Lost Memories supplement of the Japanese Silent Hill 3 guide. Thankfully, it's been translated by fans. Yes, and I think that's a somewhat valuable resource. There's a couple of things about it that I think are a little bit weird. There's a lot of information that's in Lost Memories that I wouldn't consider... I would take with a grain of salt, basically. When they're talking about stuff like inspirations and like references and background and stuff like that, absolutely, I would take that guide at its word. When it comes to story stuff,
it's an issue I've noticed across various games and shows and such. Things are becoming increasingly incestuous because people making these things are only looking back at previous entries in the series or only within a narrow genre.
Yeah, I've made this complaint about Star Wars before. Like, if you want to make a Star Wars movie, you have to go and watch Flash Gordon. You know? Not just Star Wars. Anyway, yeah, Book of Lost Memories has a lot of information that's not attributed to anyone. It does have direct quotes from a lot of the people who worked on the games. But yeah, whoever the author of that is also includes a lot of other stuff, and I would take the information in there with a grain of salt, because if Team Silent wanted it to be in the games, they would have put it in the games, right? So like when Book of Lost Memories says, "Could Mary's body be in the trunk of James's car?" Question mark? Like, I don't know who's asking that question, or if they're asking it rhetorically, or like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And there's a little bit of silliness to it. I was thinking of the references section. For sure. Yeah. I'm just saying, I get a lot of people who are like, I get some YouTube comments from people who are like, "Oh, this was actually disproven by a tweet that Masahiro Ito made," or your interpretation is wrong because of this thing in Book of Lost Memories. And I'm like, I don't care. Find something that's in the game.
I just met some guy named Vincent.
Oh, that fucking guy.
Vincent?
He's a friend of yours, right?
I'm not sure.
He
Nope.
said when we get to Silent Hill to look for a guy named Leonard. And he gave me this map. What do you want to do?
We can't trust him, but we've got no other choice.
Here, take this too.
What's this?
Your father was holding it.
I hope it's the notebook that Cheryl drew Harry's dumb face on.
It started raining. Are you sleeping?
I'm awake.
You cold? What's the deal with Silent Hill anyway? It used to be a nice, quiet little town. But now...
That's the question, isn't it, Douglas?
Once, on a missing persons case. Never did find him. But I'll tell you, that's one screwed up town. My line of work, you hear a lot of nasty rumors.
I was born and raised there.
Sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No offense taken.
Anyway, I thought you grew up in Portland. What's wrong? Feeling sick?
My head's pounding like the worst hangover ever.
Maybe you're car sick.
Oregon.
No. I'm just trying to remember. My childhood. Something terrible happened in Silent Hill 17 years ago. A woman named Dahlia. She tried to summon the ancient god of the town. She offered up her very own daughter.
That's crazy.
Maybe so, but it worked. The girl gave birth to a god. You see, that girl had special powers.
Powers?
Her classmates called her a witch. She could make things happen with her mind. She could kill people just by wishing for it. But in the end, that god was killed by a single person. My father, Harry Mason. I guess it wasn't much of a god if it could be killed by a human being. But I think Claudia's trying to do the same thing again. And I've been chosen as the sacrifice.
You've got some kind of power in you too?
After the god was killed, the girl reappeared. She was holding a baby in her arms. Before she died, she gave the baby to my father. He loved me just like I was his very own daughter. Even though he didn't know who or what I was. It was so sudden. I never had a chance to tell you how happy you made me.
I'm gonna head for that Leonard guy's house. You check out the hospital. You got the map, right?
Yeah,
You gonna be okay alone?
I'm not a child, you know. Are you sure it's not you who's afraid to be alone?
You're right. I am afraid. 50-something years old. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Still feel like I'm dreaming.
More like a nightmare, I'd say.
Yeah. I want to wake up and have a smoke already. Meet me back here when you're finished looking around the hospital. Okay?
Roger.
God. Oh, this game is so good. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with like looking at information that people who have like produced the thing have said about it. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting outside information as long as that's not like purported to be more valid than other readings, because I don't think it is. Rainbow Vision, thank you for the follow, my fur and whiskers. So, this scene is so important because we didn't get a lot of time. Okay. This game puts a lot of emotional weight for the way that Heather is on what happened to Harry. And how we feel about Harry is informed by this game and also the events of the first game. So if we haven't played the first game, we don't have nearly as much of an emotional investment in Harry himself, right? Analysis videos are good. Oh, thank you. My goodness. I do my best. This scene is really, really good because it shows us how much Heather is thinking and feeling about this. It gives us, after that like boss fight, some time to deal with Harry's death, to sit with it for a while, before we get back into like playing this game again, right? For the pacing, it's incredibly important. There is also something really interesting that this game just did, and I don't think anybody noticed it. There's something that this game just omitted that makes everything that happens much more confusing. And that's that Douglas and Heather have a motel room. Okay? One of the big questions about these games are, hey, is this town inhabited or abandoned? And I come down on the side of this town is abandoned. I think that it was a sleepy little tourist town up until the events of Silent Hill 1, and then after SH1, it's been abandoned ever since. They could have just shown us a line of dialogue where they say, it's a good thing this room was unlocked, and it would have proven to us that this town was abandoned. Or they could have shown us them checking in at the front desk, or made a passing line of dialogue about that, and that would have confirmed that the town is inhabited. But the fact that they're just here now leaves it open. And how fucking frustrating is that? I love this game's commitment to not tell you. Someone must be paying the electric bill? Maybe. I mean, possibly. I don't know. Must they? That's gotta be a coincidence. But still, that's pretty weird. Who could have done this? Who left this note here? Town has some inhabitants, but it's probably dying. I
didn't want to interrupt the scene, but Douglas asking what the deal with Silent Hill is just had me imagining Jerry Seinfeld driving Heather to town.
Sure. Some ghost towns are attached to the power grid, for sure, yeah. Largely abandoned and not recognized on the maps anymore, but still has residents that won't get the fuck out. Possibly. I think, like, it's my interpretation that the events of Silent Hill 1 either killed or chased off anybody who is still left in town. In the intervening years, when Silent Hill 2 happened, and then Silent Hill 3 happened, the town is more or less abandoned, but there are comings and goings by some of the members of the cult. So I don't know if anybody lives here permanently, but, you know, I think that there is some habitation. I mean, there's gonna be some. At least that's my take on it. This game is entirely committed, though, to the act of answering those questions with either vague or contradictory information. So even if Claudia tells me, oh, the town's bustling, I live here all year round, I don't believe her. You know, like... The power being on can be explained by the energy in the town. Possibly. I mean, it could be the nightmare. I don't know. And I think some of the point is not to know. I know this is going to feel like a bit of a cop-out. I know this is going to feel a little bit different than my analysis videos for like Silent Hill 1 and 2, where I'm saying, yeah, this is what's happening. I think Silent Hill 3 is made in a way that you're not supposed to have an answer for that. I believe part of the intended experience of this game is to have questions that the game is either going to give you contradictory information about, or answer with some vagueness and be like, you figure it out. It's a testament to the good ambiguity. Not even you can find a concrete answer. I mean, I'm not all that smart about this kind of stuff, so like, I'm just kind of a dumb bunny. By the way, this whole motel area is in Silent Hill 2. You can walk right by it. I think there's a car with a save point in one of these parking spots. Not 100% on that. Have you played Have Feelings About Shattered Memories? I do! I have played it. I hate it. I understand people like it. Which I have made my peace with. I get it. It's not terrible. Honestly, I don't think it's a particularly bad game. I just don't like it. One of the things that drives me nuts about media is when characters are just never lying or wrong about anything that isn't immediately and massively signposted as incorrect. Yeah, you can't have... I don't know if you can have an interesting story where every character knows what's going on all the time, you know? I'm not sure about that. I would have to give that some thought, but that's just my gut reaction, is that I don't know if I think that that's possible. Tell that to Ayn Rand? No, I said an interesting story. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that's one of the things about AI writing that really bugs me, is we've looked at, for funsies, mostly to make fun of it, some of the things, like narratives that have been written by AI before. Like, we read through the script for that Willy Wonka experience and stuff like that. And one of the biggest failings of it is that AI can never consider what certain characters know or don't know. So no character is ever surprised by any piece of information, or is lying about anything, or like it's never going to happen in a story that AI's created. What's that? It's the unknown. Yeah, and then the audience reactions, of course. Yeah, there's no theory of mind, because they're just, obviously there just can't be. It's not how the machine works. It's just a predictive text generator. But yeah, it's one of the reasons that I don't think it can ever make something interesting. Don't have state management for those kinds of considerations. Oh God, no. Yeah. It's almost like machine learning. Can't substitute for human experience and emotion. It's almost like the kind of AI we've got is fucking useless. It's a scam. Sorry, don't worry, Bowser. Sometimes Raptor's cat comes in here and talks to us. So I wouldn't worry about it. That cat's a terrible typist, by the way. My read on the first 4 Silent Hill games is no one in any of the games has a complete inkling about what's going on. Dahlia, who is probably comes the closest, but I think even she's talking out of her not yet on fire ass. Yes. Yeah, I have 2 points about that. I think the character that gets the closest to saying what's going on is when Harry says it's being invaded by the other world, a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life. I think that's the closest any character has come to figuring out what the deal is, right? The thing that I think Dahlia doesn't understand is that, and this is my interpretation, this is my take, the cult's god ain't real. The thing that she's summoning is just Alessa's concept of God. What Alessa thinks God is, the image that she has of God in her head, is escaping into the real world. The same way that, like, everything else she conjures is. it's a manifestation of her own subconscious. It's not the same God, you know? Like, even if her God exists, none of the stuff that happens in the series is God. Dahlia's faith gives her powers, but also blinds her to various things. Exactly. Yes. I think that's about right. Yeah. Don't be so modest. I will. You can't stop me. I'm gonna. I think one of the reasons I walk back a little bit and I say, like, I want to be clear about what parts of this are my interpretation and what parts of this I think are in the game. And then kind of the reasoning behind them is because, one, I want to leave those gaps for people to think about these games.
You won't be modest anymore. Force Prad's bun.
No! I don't want people to just take my interpretation and then stop thinking about these games. I kind of want to leave a springboard for people to say, here's an interesting take on what's going on, and then think about it an extra step, you know? I don't want people to stop theorizing about this game. And it's one of the problems I have with like multiple dimensions theory or stuff like that, is because people take that as the interpretation of the game and then they stop trying to interpret it any other way. I don't like
so
that.
The dronification fan suddenly doesn't want others to stop thinking about things. Huh? Hypocrite.
All right, here's the other reason that I try to walk that back, is because I can't handle people disagreeing with me. Conflict makes me anxious, and when people tell me that I'm wrong, it makes me feel sad and sick, and I can't handle it. I am soft and stupid, and I cannot handle pushback. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could be like, you know what? I'm strong enough in my opinions. I don't care if people disagree with me. Fuck them. Or, yeah, I can defend all my points. Like, yeah, I want to think that. I don't know if that's true. I don't think so. I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to be honest. Anyway. It's pretty warm, so I'm gonna put the fan on. I'm gonna find us somebody to raid, I think. There was something else I wanted to say about Dahlia in the context of that conversation that they were having in the car. I can't remember what it was, but I'll try to remember for next week. We can do the hospital and we can talk about this some more. Anyway, I really appreciate hearing from y'all. No.
Oh heckaroo, it's sleep time, but thank you for the Silent Hill lore, Lucky Bunsen Goo.
No worries, Fred. Thank you so much. My goodness.